And good morning and welcome to Coffee with Democrats. We are so happy on this rainy Monday morning to have a very special guest today, U.S. Representative candidate Kody Macaulay. Kody, good morning. How are you doing this morning?
I'm exhausted. I've got some puppies that are scared of thunder and lightning, and well, let's just say I had a 120-pound dog laying on my chest this morning.
Yeah, at 4:30. Yes.
Yeah,
That's exactly when the lightning and thunder started here at my house, which, for all transparency purposes, you and I live within 10 miles of one another.
yeah.
So you live in Moore. I live in the north side of Norman. So we were experiencing some of the same weather, and we're experiencing it again right now. We've got a front moving through, and wind gusts and heavy rain that is coming through right now. So appreciate you being able to stick with your monster drinks and push through this morning to be on Coffee with Democrats. We appreciate you being on there.
Yeah, no problem. I
So
actually bought some cold brew coffee. I just forgot to put it in a cup and bring it in here. So, but I've got my trusty monster and some water with me, so I'm
excellent,
rocking and
excellent.
rolling.
All right. Well, we got a little bit of housekeeping that we got to talk about. So, for everybody who is watching on here, please share this with all of your followers, friends, family. Make sure that everybody that you know who has access to the internet and appreciates these kind of conversations, please tell them to come and join us. Now, they can join us in three different ways. They could join us on YouTube Live, and that is just go to YouTube and then type in the search bar at sign Coffee with Democrats 7998. Let me see if I can just put that over here onto the banner so that people can see that.
Right. I also shared it on X.
Excellent. So there is how you can watch us um, on YouTube. This is how you can watch us on Facebook Live. We'll get this going here real quick. There is how you can watch us on Facebook. And that's just go to just type in Coffee with Democrats. But if you want the whole long spiel, that's our big long profile spiel that's on there, that HTTPS stuff. And then if you're on Twitter, and just Twitter Live is just very simple. I'm going to put it up here on the screen as well so everybody can see it. And that is at sign Coffee with Dems. Elon Musk cheated us out of Democrats, so we had to just leave Dems in there. So have everybody please join us and follow us on Coffee with Democrats. Again, it's very simple. When you get on there, you'll see our icon in one of the sides, and it'll be shining up there. It'll look like it's got a halo around it. You just click on that, and it'll allow you to watch us live. So, thanks everybody for sharing with us today and spending some time with us on Coffee with Democrats. It's always an exciting time to be able to talk with candidates, and Kody's a fantastic candidate. He's a great friend, somebody that we've had on here before, and we hope to have him on again soon because we really want to help him in his effort for running against Tom Cole. And we're going to get into that in just a little bit. But before we do that, we've got some really important stuff we got to talk about. I mean, this is Coffee with Democrats, so we've got to talk about our favorite morning drinks, what gets us up in the morning, gets our blood pumping and ready to go. So what are you drinking this morning there, Kody?
I am drinking, and this is not a sponsor, but if they want to make a contribution, they can call me. I'm drinking Monster because that's what I drank throughout my whole military career, and I just was never a coffee guy.
Sure.
If I'm gonna have coffee, I'm gonna have a little bit of coffee with my cream and sugar. That's the type of coffee I drink.
Hey, I'm with you on that because that's exactly how I drink mine. I drink mine with lots of cream and sweet. I don't drink sugar no more. I try to limit my sugar intake. I have some kind of artificial sweetener, but something that takes the bitterness out of the coffee. I never have been able to drink it black. So mine's just McCafe, something that all the career that I had working on the railroad, I was on call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And whenever I'd go to work at midnight, I could always drive through and get a cup of coffee on the way to work. Or if I was coming home at 2 o'clock in the morning and I wanted to just have a little pick me up for the drive home, I could drive through McDonald's. It was the same every time. Go in, get a coffee, and ask them to put in 5 sweeteners and 5 creamers, and it tasted the same no matter where I was at, whether I was in LA, Chicago, in the middle of, say, North Platte, Nebraska, which is a very small little town. Wherever I was at, I always had the same taste. And I'm sure that's the same thing with you. It's that same flavor that in the same reaction that you get from it. So
yeah, I kind of had my routine. I kind of stick with the White Monster most of the time, but throughout my military career and even in law enforcement, the shopette or the gas station was always right next to me, and so I'd stop in and grab a Monster, a Reign, a Bang, whatever I was feeling that day. I'd grab usually about 2 of them, maybe 3,
right.
depending on the day, and I'd go to work.
So for everybody who's watching this, down below here, there should be a place for you to make comments. If you want to make a comment, make a positive comment, say hi to Kody, promote Coffee with Democrats, whatever you want to say, please go to the comment section down below. And whenever you make your comments, we'll make sure to post them. As long as they're appropriate, we'll post them on the screen so that everybody can see them. So I'm going to give a little introduction to Kody. For those of you who don't know Kody Macaulay exemplifies a steadfast commitment to community, nation, and family. Kody's an Eagle Scout. He seamlessly transitioned into the Air Force. He garnered commendations for his unwavering dedication while serving in the Air Force. Hey, good morning, Susan. He married Melissa. They take pride in their 2 children, Zoe, who is 10 years old, and is it Charlie or Charlie?
Charlie Rose.
Charlie Rose, who is 8. They're complemented by their pets, Kenobi and Kit. So there's got to be a Star Wars connection there with Kenobi.
There is, and we actually within the last couple of months we made an addition. We adopted another rescue puppy whose name is Rebel. So yes, there's a strong Star Wars connection because I love Star Wars. So we have Kenobi. Obi-Wan Kenobi was my favorite Jedi. Kit was named after another Jedi named Kit Fisto. And then Rebel, just
the Rebel Alliance.
Rebel
right?
Alliance, yeah.
Yeah. I gotta show everybody. I've never shown this before, but come here, buddy. Come here. This is, we call him Lincoln, but his official name is Lincoln Chewbacca. So let me get his
there
face.
He is. Oh, is he Scotty?
No, he's a Morkie. He's a Morkie, and but when he was born, he was brown, looked just like Chewbacca, but now he looks, with his ears, he looks more like who am I thinking of that had the big ears, the green guy? Yoda. Yeah, that's it.
Or Baby Yoda, also known as Grogu.
Yes, we supported that. That's been one of my favorite go-to shows since I was a teenager. That's one of my favorite go-tos. So,
and I know there's some competition between people that like Star Wars and Star Trek. I'm one of those weird people that just loves both. And
yeah.
I want to work towards a future where we have a Star Trek future.
Yes.
I don't want a future that looks like Star Wars.
Right.
Kind of bleak, but Star Trek. That's a good future.
Well, but you can make some comparisons to the evil empire in the state of Oklahoma government, and particularly this Palpatine character, Tom Cole, that that you're running against. So anyway, after 7 years of meritorious service and 2 deployments, Kody made the shift from the Air Force to the Air Force Reserves while concurrently venturing into law enforcement. His pursuit of self-improvement led to attaining a Master of Science in Sports Management. Kody medically separated from the Air Force Reserves, having served a total of 13 years in the military. Most recently, Kody was engaged in the realm of information technology and security, contributing his expertise at Tinker Air Force Base, where he helped stand up the first cyber mission defense team in the Air Force. Motivated by his desire to serve a broader level, Kody aspires to represent District 4 as congressman. His multifaceted background in military, law enforcement, and IT positions him in an adept advocate for the diverse needs of his constituents. Throughout his journey, Kody remains dedicated to supporting and defending the rights of his family, neighbors, and country. So thank you very much, Kody, for your service and sacrifice to our country. And everybody, please help us with this conversation with some opening remarks there. Kody, would you talk to us just a little bit about, why voters should be voting for you?
Yeah. So let's touch on the primary first. So the primary is coming up on June 18th. So
Sure.
we're 15 days away from it. The other opponent, my opponent, Mary Brannon, she is a sweet lady. I can't say anything bad about Mary. This is her 4th time on the ballot.
Right.
And without her, we may not have had a Democrat on the ballot the last 3 times. So I certainly want to thank her for everything she's done. However, I think my diverse background better serves District 4 in the long run. And that's why I feel that I'm a better candidate than Mary is. But she's still a wonderful person.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And thank you for those comments too, because as fellow Democrats, we should never be trying to disparage a fellow Democrat, especially someone who is as distinguished as she is. But we're going to talk a little bit more about you. We're going to reach out to Mary, and we're going to ask her to come on and give her comments between now and the primary. But at the same time, we need to focus on you at this point. I need to ask just a general question because I can't think of it off the top of my head. Does District 4, I know the answer to this now, does District 4 include Fort Sill?
Yes.
Does it include Tinker Air Force Base?
Yes.
Okay.
It does not include Altus.
Not Altus, does not go that far out west.
No.
Okay. Are there any other military bases that District 4 serves that you can remember?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think Fort Sill and Tinker are the two.
Two major ones anyway. Yeah. There are other reserve stations all throughout, and particularly most every community has their own reserve or National Guard facilities. So let's talk a little bit more about you specifically. And let's talk about something that's really critical within the state of Oklahoma. We just got a blurb yesterday from the former president. I don't even want to mention his name. He pisses me off so bad. Well, he came out yesterday and said, or Saturday, he came out and said he wants to completely eliminate the Federal Department of Education. And education is, in my opinion, one of those inalienable rights as a citizen of the country, that every single person has to have the right for a public education. If they want a private education, they can go pay for it themselves. But everybody should be allowed a public education at minimum.
Absolutely.
And now we've got this attack that is now coming from a candidate for president, and it's being supported not only by him but several governors. And right here in the state of Oklahoma, we've got a radical extremist superintendent of public instruction who is also wanting to eliminate public education. Let's talk a little bit about what you think is the crisis that exists around education.
Well, I think Ryan Walters wants to eliminate the federal Department of Education because he doesn't know how to turn things in on time to receive federal money for kids.
Yes.
So he hasn't figured out how to actually do his job. So his idea is just get rid of that part of his job.
Yeah.
He can
Yeah.
just keep making his car videos.
Right.
Um, but you hit it. School and education is supremely important to our communities, and especially in our rural areas. You get rid of any sort of funding, and you're going to gut our rural schools. And so, what I'd want to do is increase funding, and also, let's talk about what incentives we can offer to get more people out into these rural areas to teach, whether it's student loan forgiveness for teachers and doctors to make it easier for them to go into rural areas where they may not get paid like they would in the city, but they also don't have the student debt hanging over their head that they have to pay back. Continuing to make sure that the E-rate program is funded so rural schools and, well, schools all across the country can afford uh, internet and broadband, stuff like that. Um, let's talk about SNAP. You know,
Absolutely.
it pulls into the farm bill as well. You got education and you got the farm bill, and you're gutting our rural areas. A lot of people rely on SNAP to survive. You know, kids can't learn when they can't eat.
Right.
So that's kind of where I am. I'd also like to kind of improve the career and technical services that schools offer, especially out in rural areas where you're not going to have a lot of IT jobs, stuff like
Right.
that. Not everyone's going to go to college, and that's fine. That's okay.
But
We need plumbers, we need welders, we need these jobs. They're extremely important, and we should be promoting those.
yeah, absolutely. Right here, you and I we've got a neighbor community, Norman Moore Vocational Technical School, which is
Mhm.
right on the north side of Norman, south side of Moore. It does all of the trades: electricians, plumbers, um, air conditioning, diesel mechanics, all of those things that people are going to, if they don't want to go on to a higher education, at least they can learn the trades. They can learn them and come out of that school being a professional, being somebody who can, knows the latest technologies, knows the greatest ability to and function of, plumbing, where they're using plastics now instead of copper, and they're not using, but they still have that ability to do all that. Electricians. Oh my goodness, electronics is so sophisticated, and you
Yeah.
have people that are coming out of the school, exceptionally educated, and being able to come right out and make $100,000 within the first few years, starting up their own businesses and working for themselves as an electrician. So yeah, I have to agree with you that but it all starts with public education. It all starts with that. And one of the other aspects of public education that we got to talk about is the public teachers crisis. Talk to me a little bit about what you see going on when it comes to our public school teachers.
Yeah, what I see is Oklahoma has not been kind to their teachers. Um, you remember the teachers' strike from a few years ago,
Right.
and things really haven't gotten any better. So we're bleeding teachers, and we haven't figured out how to stop the bleeding. Um, but like I said, one of the things that we can look at is creating incentives to bring teachers here
Right.
to Oklahoma, right? Especially out in the rural areas.
And it can
We
be
need,
something as simple as doing just a couple of things. Number one, have somebody in leadership at the very top within every state who talks about, or not talks about, but actually supports the teachers. increases the teacher's pay, provides teacher benefits, and teacher continuing education. Those are all aspects that will help teachers not only come to Oklahoma, but they can grow within Oklahoma. And it's so important for us to be able to do those things. And I support what you're talking about too. It's so critical.
Yeah, you have to foster a community of openness and acceptance and everything for these teachers to come in and feel comfortable. You have to be
Right.
able to support them. If you're coming into a hostile environment like we have now with Ryan Walters,
Yeah.
they're not going to want to be here. They're not going
Right.
to want to come teach here.
Right. Yeah. As the one of the previous candidates who was running for the superintendent of public instruction, Jenna Nelson, said, you could actually look from outer space in a satellite and see the teachers of Oklahoma leaving like ants leaving a nest. It's just like every road leaving out of Oklahoma, teachers were leaving. Of course, that's not exactly, it's more of an analogy than it is,
Right.
but you see it so much, and the facts ring true to the fact that I can't remember the actual number, but we're down thousands of teachers. Of all the teachers that we need, we're short. I think it's 20,000 teachers. Maybe that's incorrect on my part. I need to look that up.
Yeah, I think we're well over 1,000 uh, emergency certifications for teachers right now.
True. Right.
But I don't like you said, I don't know the exact number.
Right. Right. But we've got we've gotten. It's just so frustrating because we can see it and we know it to be so true. Instead of attacking our teachers and attacking the profession, we can actually just start showing some support and some mentoring. Bring back the Hall of Fame for the teachers and support the Teachers Hall of Fame instead of taking the pictures down and throwing them away. Bring them back and show recognition to those teachers who have actually um, been stellar performers, and then use those people to help other teachers grow within their profession.
Absolutely.
Let's talk a little bit about healthcare. What do you think is going on within the state of Oklahoma, and not just Oklahoma, but it's all of our surrounding communities all around your district that we're having a healthcare issue. Talk to us a little bit about your feelings and your vision for healthcare and stemming this healthcare crisis that is taking place.
Yeah, priority number one is for my campaign is reproductive rights. This is something that over 60% of Americans were upset with overturning Roe v. Wade,
Right.
including 55% of Oklahomans support abortions and reproductive rights. That's a big number, you know? That's a lot of people. And I think we've seen in races all across the country where, you know, Democrats don't usually win those races. Well, now they're winning those races because people are fed up and they're sick of their rights being taken away. So that's
Right.
priority number one is codifying Roe v. Wade. You know, we got complacent. Uh, Oftentimes in the military and law enforcement, we talk about complacency and how complacency kills. We got complacent with Roe v. Wade. We considered it to be the law of the land.
Hmm.
And instead of codifying it when we had multiple chances and opportunities, we ignored it. Then we got a Supreme Court that took it away. Just like that. So we need to fix that.
Right.
That's priority number one. Number two is we need to keep lowering the cost of drugs.
Yeah.
Like President Biden has done a fantastic job lowering the price of insulin, um, inhalers, all sorts of things.
Hearing protection, or not hearing protection, but hearing aids,
Hmm.
deregulating that. Yeah.
it shouldn't cost thousands of dollars for something you need to survive.
True. Let's talk a little bit about we're seeing healthcare deserts that are starting to pop up throughout Oklahoma, particularly in rural Oklahoma. And as someone who represents rural Oklahoma, we can see places where, and I'm keeping an eye on a town south of us, Marietta, where we just had a very large group of people that are going to be unemployed because of a tornado that struck a facility for Dollar Tree. And Dollar Tree said they're
Yep.
not going to rebuild. They're going to just tear it down and move it somewhere else. And part of that has to do with our state leadership, which is another story altogether. But what I'm really concerned about is the community losing that is their primary bread maker for them, their primary source of income for the community.
Right.
What's gonna leave as soon as that company leaves? Doctors,
Everything around. Yeah, everything
yeah,
else.
the hospital, the clinics. I'm very concerned about what's going to happen in rural America. And if we don't have the systems and the programs in place to support those health facilities, and a lot of that has to come from federal funding because you and I both know Oklahomans don't contribute enough by themselves. We have to reach out to our neighbors throughout America to get taxpayer money to come in here to help us support some of the basic functions that we need, because we just don't have the population to support everything that we need. But because of the land mass that we've got to ask for help. Otherwise, we're traveling 100 miles or more just to get health care. Can you imagine being having an emergency where an amputation, something like a hand or something, a very tragic accident that like a farming accident where somebody loses part of
Yeah.
their arm, and now they've got to travel 100 miles with a tourniquet on their arm,
It's almost
multiple
faster to
hours.
just get a helicopter out there.
Yeah, and without those medical facilities being nearby, that again, we've got a whole host of things that are going to take place, and our farmers. I really worry about our farmers because they're the ones who work day in and day out. OSHA doesn't support, doesn't overlook a lot of what the farmers do, and they just have to cut corners. It seems like, or they choose to cut corners. But anyway, our farmers are feeding America, and they're doing it on shoestring budgets. Mm-hmm. And a lot of them, something happens, something simple, and it's life changing, but it will cause them to die.
Right.
And
that's
unnecessarily.
That's a two-part problem right there. One, like I said earlier, we have to find a way to incentivize. We need incentives
Right.
To get teachers, doctors, those types of professions out into these rural areas where they won't make as much. But
Right.
hey, if we get rid of your student loans,
Mm-hmm.
now you don't have this looming, $200,000 worth of debt over your head, and you can then provide services to this rural community.
Right.
That's not a perfect program. There's a bunch of stuff that we'd have to figure out, but it's a conversation that needs to be had. I think the other part of that is you talked about farmers, and that's making sure that their voice is heard when the farm bill needs passing.
Absolutely.
I've never been a farmer. I've never worked on a farm. Uh, I've milked the cow before, and that's about it. And I'm not going to pretend to know what's best for our farmers.
Right.
And that's why I'm going to reach out to them and figure out what they want.
Yeah.
what they need.
Right.
I'm not going to pretend I know better than them.
Right. Right. Yeah. You've got to go to the source for that prime knowledge.
Yes.
So, what other healthcare issues do you see, or is it time to move on to the next subject? But is there other things within healthcare that you want to talk about that we haven't brought up so far?
Let's talk about the VA
Oh,
and
good. Thank
ensuring
you.
ensuring that the VA is properly funded and not ever going to go private.
True.
Because when you privatize the VA, you lose all oversight, right?
Right.
And it's going to cost more. So just properly funding the VA and making sure that you know veterans know that they can use these services. You talk to a lot of people that were in the military, and a lot of them, they don't go to the VA. They don't do the disability thing because they don't feel like they deserved it. You know,
Right.
and that's just not true. You do, and I'm speaking this directly to veterans right now. You do deserve it. That money is for you. Go do it.
Right.
Let them help you.
And one of the other VA aspects that is available is mental health. We're dealing with so many people in the military coming back with PTSD, and and one of the most beautiful statements that I've ever heard a candidate talk about, and I think it was either you or somebody else. Your book is still being written. Your final chapter is not over with. Just because you're having some issues with PTSD doesn't mean you need to end your life. It doesn't need to happen. There are people that still love you and still care for you and want to spend time with you. And all of us here, with Coffee with Democrats, Kody, all of us want to do everything we can to reach out to you and tell you that you are loved and you are supported and you are needed. We need you. So seek the help that you need. Go
Yeah.
to that VA hospital and tell them that you are having some issues that need to be addressed immediately.
And if you don't feel comfortable going to the VA, there's other organizations that can help you. The Veterans of Foreign Wars, or I'm part of the American Legion, and I have this awesome coin. Be the one. Save a life. Save a veteran. If you know your buddy's going through some stuff, be there for him.
That's right.
Okay. Don't
Never,
be afraid to say something. And
yeah,
Susan, I do see your question. I will get to it. I promise.
yeah. And we're going to bring that up in just a minute here, Susan. So, because you're really bringing us into the kind of one of the next things that we need to talk about. We're going to get, well, it's on our list. Let's put it that way. And that's our uh, social umbrellas. But let's talk a little bit about jobs. Do you want to talk about jobs? You want to go ahead and address that with Susan first?
No,
What do
let's go with Susan. I don't want to keep her
Okay,
waiting.
let me go ahead and put this up here for everybody to see. And this is an example, folks. If you're watching this and you have a question for Kody or myself, throw a comment down in the bottom, because these are your questions, and we want to do what we can to support having your questions answered. So here's Susan's question: what is your feeling on removing the income cap for Social Security contributions?
That's absolutely what I plan to do. Tom Cole, when he gave his speech nominating Jim Jordan, he called Social Security and Medicare. Uh, what did he say? He said they're the real drivers of debt, and he's been either the chair or co-chair of the bipartisan Social Security and Medicare Commission for what, 6 terms now, so 12 years. And he keeps saying, I don't want to cut Social Security and Medicare. I want to come up with a plan to fix it. Well, Tom, you've been doing it for 12 years now. Well, where's the plan?
Right.
You haven't come up with anything. Here's my plan: get rid of the tax cap, or the income cap, and voila, you're solvent for another 75 plus years. You know, It's incredibly simple.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. It's amazing that you have these same people, Tom Cole as an example, who constantly talks this game, but in the background, let's put it this way, in front of the cameras, he's talking about how he wants to support Social Security. But all
Right.
of his votes, every committee meeting that he goes to, everything that he does is undercutting and trying to do what he can to actually cut the programs off at their knees. And
Right. And I think a large portion of that comes from, if you look at who is funding Tom Cole, you'll see why that he doesn't like this.
right.
50% of his campaign donations are from large money donors. The
Hmm.
other another 42 are from PACs.
Right.
Small donations for Tom Cole only make up 5.64% of his campaign budget. So he's doing it for the rich people.
Right. Yeah. And the hell with the rest of us. So Susan's on a roll here. I'm telling you what, we might need to hire Susan as a contributor for Coffee with Democrats because she's got another question for you. We're going to put it up here. Kevin Hearn came out about supporting Medicare Advantage plans, which is the privatization of Medicare. What's your feelings about privatizing uh, Medicare and that goes back to privatizing Social Security and Medicaid as well.
Yeah, I haven't looked at this plan, so I can't speak on it specifically. But anytime, like I said with the VA, anytime you privatize something like healthcare, you end up paying more, um, and you lose oversight.
Right.
Right. So on its face value, I would say absolutely not. But again, I haven't actually looked at the specifics of it.
Okay. Good. Good. Well, let's jump to jobs. For some reason, Oklahoma has got such a poor reputation in the corporate world that you can't even you can't even pay a corporation to come to Oklahoma. Um, this current governor that we have, Governor Goober, as I like to call him, um, he has flubbed up Oklahoma so severely that he put out this big package to try to buy Panasonic to come to Oklahoma. He tried to influence Tesla to open a facility here in Oklahoma. He has worked very diligently to get Canoe this electronic vehicle up the startup going, and has invested millions of taxpayer dollars. And what did Canoe do? Canoe has bought a private jet for their CEO to fly around the country and go to other states.
Yeah.
And Panasonic went to Kansas, and Tesla stayed in Texas. Michelin is leaving out of your district, out of my district, down here at Ardmore. We're losing Dollar Tree. They're not going to reinvest and come back into rebuild in Oklahoma. Again, we can't buy a company. We nobody wants to come here. What do you see as being one of the biggest things that can be done by this state and by this leadership to help Oklahoma grow and grow in with other corporations coming in and employing our population?
Yeah. Well, first of all, our state government needs to stop picking fights with our tribal nations and
Perfect.
the federal government. You pass laws that, boom, like I forget which bill it was, um, but the one that said you can arrest people for not being a citizen, basically.
Oh
Uh,
yeah,
Everyone looking at that knew it was a bad bill.
right.
And then, of course, as soon as it gets passed, here comes another lawsuit.
Hmm.
And we're spending all our taxpayer dollars in court and fighting these battles we don't need to fight. We need to start improving the quality of life in our district if we want to get companies to come in.
Right.
That's that's just how it is. And nobody really wants to come to Oklahoma and open a business if there's nothing here for them,
Right. Right.
right? But on a federal level, when I think of bringing jobs in, I think of working on bills that improve our infrastructure, our
Oh,
transportation, yeah, jobs that are going to bring in a bunch of union jobs. You know, you look at some of the infrastructure and transportation in Europe and these other countries, and you look at their train systems, and you go, why haven't we done that? We are so woefully behind
right.
other countries that it's ridiculous. You know, and at least we can start with connecting maybe Oklahoma City and Tulsa by high speed rail,
Right. Right.
connecting Dallas with Oklahoma City by high speed rail faster than, you know, what they currently have, which only
Sure.
goes like
Sure.
70, I think 70 miles an hour.
Yeah. From Oklahoma City to Dallas, I believe the maximum speed is either 65 or 70. It's very limited. Other places in the United States in the Northeast, they've got up think 150 miles per hour. But you compare that with places like France
Hmm.
and Germany, hell, even China and Japan, who
Yeah.
have over 200-mile-an-hour trains. We are, you know, basically we're hamstringing ourselves with our transportation needs.
Hmm.
Our in You just bring up when you talk about infrastructure, you're talking about stuff within my wheelhouse, because of my background working within the transportation industry. So I don't want to talk over you because
No, you're
but
the
I want
train expert.
to. Well, I want to compliment you. I don't want to be the focus, but when you talk about places like Oklahoma City, the corridors are becoming so populated that in order to expand our interstates, you're going to have to start moving people out. One of the worst things you can ever do is start removing people from their homes. And just like what we encountered with before this last election, where the Turnpike Authority was trying
Yeah.
to
Oh yeah.
push
Right down the street from me.
was trying to push through this major expansion and remove people from legacy properties.
Hmm.
And you just can't do that. But what you can do is you've got to have the ability to expand within your current infrastructure facilities. And most railroad right of ways are wide enough that they can expand additional trackage. And
Right.
they're not running at capacity. They're not running at even half capacity. In most cases, they run into problems because they're not running on schedules anymore. Everything is haphazard. Just whenever the train arrives is whenever they schedule it and things like that. But whenever you run a passenger service, you run on schedules. The expectation is freight is going to run on schedule as well, and it improves both passenger and freight rail whenever that happens. But we've also got an environment where privatization of the railroad industry is leading to conflicts. So there's a conflict because, of course, the railroad wants to maximize income,
Right.
and they don't want to get paid anything unless it's 100% profit. There's nothing out there that has 100% profit. But anyway, that's my high horse. I'm sorry I interjected.
No, I mean, I have my own feelings on turnpikes and toll roads. I
Hmm.
think they're ridiculous that you have to pay money to drive on a road when you're
Right.
already paying taxes to fix your
Exactly.
roads.
Right.
So why are we letting this company get rich off of our need, our requirement to have transportation?
Right. Right.
It's ridiculous. As far as the trains go. You're the expert on trains. I will defer to you on what needs to happen to expand tracks and make them um,
Efficient.
safe,
Yeah.
safe and efficient for high
Right.
speed rail. But I think it's a fantastic idea to connect Oklahoma City with Dallas by high speed, as you're getting out there at the same amount of time it takes to fly.
Well, and we're also in an area right here where we're between extremely large metropolitan areas. When you look at our corridor from Houston to Dallas to Oklahoma City to Wichita to Kansas City to Denver, we sit right in the middle and basically of the plain states. Oklahoma City should be the crossroads, and we're
Yeah,
not. And
this is the heartland, right?
that is,
That's
and
what we
that's why
like to
they
call
call
it.
it
We're
the
the heart of
Heartline Flyer. It,
exactly. We're the
so
heartland of America.
right,
Let's start acting like it.
right, and again, it's you just go back 80 years ago because I'm going to use 80 years because in 3 days we're going to have the anniversary of D-Day, the D-Day invasion. How that took place is because the infrastructure that the United States had built through the rail systems allowed for mass movement of both products and people to be able to be shipped overseas into England and in preparation of D-Day. It didn't happen overnight. But in a matter of just a few years, the rail industry and our infrastructure industry and the manufacturing that we had throughout the United States helped us win World War II. And we're woefully way behind where we should be right now when it comes to that. Our trucking industry is really helpful, and it's a very good system.
Hmm.
But they run on our interstate systems, and our infrastructure on our interstates is crumbling, and we
Yep.
can't keep it up fast enough because there's too many trucks. And whenever you shut down, just like what we're experiencing right now, you go north on. I mean, just a very simple process of shoring up the ends of our bridges at
Hmm. Yeah, we're
40,
top 10 in the
35,
nation.
and was it 235 right here?
Yeah.
It
Two
shuts us
thirty
down
five
to one
and
lane,
40.
and then nobody wants to come through Oklahoma City because of these major projects. So it's a major issue that we've got to start thinking about expanding and building, but we can't just focus on only expanding trucks. We've got to expand those rail corridors and those rail bridges
Hmm.
that connect all of our communities. Because again, uh, we won World War II on the backs of the railroads, and and I think that that's something that a lot of people miss out on. And
We won the
I
Civil War
appreciate that
back to the railroads too.
well, but you recognize that the railroads are important, and that's something that I appreciate from you.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely. I did want to jump in real quick. Let me grab something real quick.
sure, sure.
Oh, where is it? Where is it? Where is it?
While you're doing that, I'm going to talk to the folks.
Here it
Kody's
is.
going to need your help. We have really got to start doing our part to help Kody, and we can help Kody a couple of ways. And number one is we need to uh, we need to go to his website. Let me try to pull that up. And it's Kody4ok.com. KODYFOROK.com. So I'm gonna somehow you got disconnected there.
Yep. Sorry. I'll put
You're
it in the
on now.
comments.
I'm going to try to share a screen. I want everybody to see this. Are you seeing that okay on your side, Kody? For some reason, I think you got disconnected again.
Yes, I can see it.
Okay.
All right,
Here's
I
your
need a new
website.
headset.
And this is where we need people to be able to help Kody and his campaign is go and sign up. So go to the email, put your information in right here, and you can put in your phone number, your zip code. You submit it. By providing this information, you check all that stuff. The other thing that we really need for people to do is we need to volunteer our time, and Kody needs help volunteering time. He needs drivers, people who will go door to door with him and talk to people the about his candidacy, because Tom Cole can't be allowed to just walk back into Washington D.C. Without having some kind of let's put it this way: we need Kody in Washington D.C. and not another 4 years of or 2 years of Tom Cole, because Tom Cole is failing us and he's failing us fast. So we need people who can drive him. We also need, if you can share your riches, your hard-earned money with Kody, you can start at $10. You can actually go over here to click on other and go here and just pick, $1. Whatever you can give, please give what you can to Kody, because he needs your support. If you want to make it monthly, you can count yourself in here, or if you just want to make a one-time donation, click on that. But please understand, we need your help and we need your support for people to help support Kody in his election. Because again, we don't need another 2 years, 4 years of Tom Cole. Tom Cole is a failure, and he's failing Oklahoma very fast. So that is my spiel to help support Kody.
Well, I appreciate that.
And again, we need time, resources, and riches. Those are the things that I think we need to, or is it treasure? I think it's treasure. Time, resources, and treasure is what we call it when people give up some of the money that they own. So thanks everybody, because we really need to do everything we can and do our part, because House District 4 is a big district. It's basically the south central corridor of Oklahoma. Extends from Oklahoma City all the way down to the Red River and west to Lawton, includes Tinker Air Force Base, and Fort Sill, and a lot of major metropolitan areas and cities in between, all along I-35 and 44. So yeah, and extends east out to Ada. So we really need to do everything we can to support Kody on his side. So you had something that you went and got. Let's turn it back over to you now, Kody.
Yeah. So I got a couple things. We talked about the anniversary of D-Day, and this has nothing to do with my campaign, but it's a book that I love. I'm passionate about this subject. It's called Pegasus Bridge.
Yes,
and
by
it
Stephen
is
Ambrose.
mhm. It is about the critical bridge from inland that went out to Sword Beach, where we had British commandos that landed in gliders on this bridge in the middle of the night, and took it and held it so that heavy armor and artillery could not make it down to Sword Beach. Because if that made it down to Sword Beach would have been a failure.
Right.
So it's all about that. It's an awesome read. If you can find it in local bookstore or your library, I would suggest reading it. It's awesome.
Right.
And then the other thing I wanted to mention, you were talking about contributions, and contributions are so important, and I am so thankful for everything I've received. Right now, my campaign manager is probably going to hate me for saying this. Right now, we're running on hopes and dreams.
Yeah.
I was barely able to make payroll this past month, and it's not looking great for the next month.
Right.
So I posted this a couple days ago, and I went back and I looked at all the past elections that we've had and how much money the candidate raised and uh, how much percent of the vote they got. And what I found is when you're able to raise substantial amount of money, the candidate does a lot better, right?
Good.
Now, I'm not saying I need $1 million to go beat Tom Cole. I'm never
Right.
going to raise that much. I'm completely fine. I'm never going to outraise or outfund Tom Cole or Paul Bondar. I'm just not. But I can outwork them,
Right.
and that's what I plan on doing. But that still takes funds.
Right. Yeah. It takes gas money to get from here to all the towns that you need to go to. And you can't just go to parades. You've got to go to door, and that's why we're asking for people in all the communities within District 4 to reach out to your campaign and invite you to come down there and help pay for your way and bring some water and pay for the gas and give you some air conditioning whenever you're doing the walking this summer, because it's going to be a long, hot summer, and,
it's going to be warm.
You've got to have some help. We need to draw this down to a close. I wish we had more time, but we need to let you go back to your normal day of campaigning. And but thank you so much for coming on Coffee with Democrats. You're a great friend. We want to do everything we can to support you. We've got the links I showed earlier how to get to your webpage. Again, tell us one more time how to get to your webpage.
Yeah, it's codyforok.com. It's KODYFOROK.com.
That's it, folks. That's what we need. Until the next time on Coffee with Democrats, please, everybody, be safe. Thank you, Kody. Thanks so much for coming on.
I appreciate it.
This segment of Coffee with Democrats is brought to you by Steve Holcomb, Attorney at Law. With family ties to Oklahoma in the legal field that goes back as far as the early 1900s, Steve Holcomb is a well-known and respected attorney at law in Pawhuska, Oklahoma. You can trust Steve Holcomb, Attorney at Law, with your legal needs. For generations encompassing over 100 years, the Holcomb family name has practiced law and served the cattlemen of Oklahoma. From Marion Holcomb, Steve's great-grandfather, who became a judge among the lands of the Cheyenne and Arapaho tribes in southwest Oklahoma in the early 1900s, who then moved to Pawhuska to practice law, to his grandfather, Thad Holcomb Sr., and his father, Lee Holcomb, who both served as presidents of the Osage County Cattlemen's Association. The Holcomb name has been and still is the trusted name for Oklahomans. As an enthusiastic supporter of Coffee with Democrats who promotes the Oklahoma standard of service, honor, and kindness, Steve Holcomb is the attorney we recommend going to when you have general practice legal needs. Call 918-287-8762. That's 918-287-8762 to schedule a consultation. Initial consultations may be provided free of charge, or go to holcomb.legal for more information. All right, folks, thanks so much. We'll see you the next time on Coffee with Democrats.